100%, and he felt like they were only playing at 90%, but he did feel like they could make improvements and win, even though from my point of view, it looked like a matchup that I would not voluntarily walk into, and it looks like the matchup that they're going to get once again.
I mean, I think it's just one of those situations where it's really nice to have that confidence, right? Like, definitely don't want to be going into a matchup thinking you're going to lose, so bringing that level of confidence, definitely going to be beneficial for F2K, but we've seen this matchup play out. It's definitely going to be uphill. I think the main win condition for F2K is maybe they can get Asgarath out of mana if he doesn't do the greatest job drinking. But other than that, it's going to be about big one-shots, using the Reaping Flames, using the Dress to Gath trinket, and you can tell by the way ABC has kind of geared their characters and the racials that they're using, they're going to be looking to shut that down every step of the way.
Ooh, nice premonition right there by Hydra on the polymorph. Alec was pushing in right there, but decided to kind of abandon the chase. And honestly, if we think about how F2K played their most recent Mage Lock matchup, we're going to expect them to, they can go out, they can hit somebody, but I don't really expect them to commit too hard here. They get the trap, they get the entangling roots, the imp dispels the trap on the 50-50, and now you can expect F2K MyWay, just go back to the pillar, attack whatever comes back there. Right now it's Warwick's. You're going to see Hydra split up from his team, so he doesn't just soak up all that Frozen Orb Blizzard damage. And for Hydra, it's all about just healing with his Atonement, just healing with damage, casting Smite, casting Penance, casting no shields. That's the most mana effective way to heal with that Discipline Priest. And Hydra did a great job in their last series against Mage Warlock, managing to keep his mana up for a really long time, like 30-40% dampening. But ultimately they did fall off, so we'll see if maybe something.
Just want to call it a quick little play. Hydra went for a cheeky mind control on Walrex. He was a bit low. It went for a mind control, and Alec just sheeped him. So removes all the bleeds from the Feral, all the poisons from the Hunter. Super heads up play there by Alec.
Yeah, I mean, right now ABC's main goal is to just drag this fight on, maintain their mana. It's kind of up to F2K MyWay to navigate through all of the defensive capabilities of the Mage and the Warlock, so the Polymorph and the Fear, but most importantly, the Imp pet of the Warlock that is able to remove Freezing Trap. They need to combine Entangling Roots from the Feral Druid Tony with Freezing Trap and roll a 50-50 dice on whether or not the Imp removes Entangling Roots or the Imp removes the Freezing Trap. If they win that 50-50 gamble, a little bit deeper into dampening, then they do have the opportunity to score a kill, but in my mind, they're banking their victory on a coin flip pretty much at that point. The only other option they could have is to somehow prevent Asgarath from drinking, run him out of mana, and then have sustained pressure onto the Mage and Warlock later into the game. These are going to be the two main win conditions for the jungle in my mind. Hydra needs to somehow maintain his mana at a healthy margin for a very long period of time. He's utilizing Mind Control, which is basically just a free spell that stops the target that's mind controlled from doing anything aggressively, and he's utilizing Mind Control quite a lot, more than we've seen in previous matchups, maintaining that Purge the Wicked on multiple targets as well to maximize the Trinity and Atonement healing so that he is able to maintain his mana. But for F2K MyWay, this game really starts about maybe 3 minutes from now. Oh, maybe not. Insane damage on the Walrix. I mean, think about that situation. If it wasn't dampening, I actually do think Walrix would have gone down. I'm just checking the builds to see if there's anything that they might have changed up in terms of getting more burst damage. It doesn't look like it. The Feral Druid running full versatility for extra healing. So maybe they're just going to be more coordinated with their damage. Call out the Ferocious Bite, call it the Mongoose Strike, trying to hit the caster at the exact same second as each other so that they get hit with a huge swell of damage and try and overwhelm them. The downside right now for F2K MyWay was that despite that extraordinary burst, they didn't get an important cooldown from the Warlock, the Unending Resolve. They only got the Life Cocoon, which is more than certainly going to rotate back up and be available.
Yeah, and actually, Hydra had to use his trinket in that exchange right there because he did get Shadow Fury into a sheep, and I do like what ABC is doing here, They're actually going in and they're starting to try to set something up, maybe get a sheep on Hydra, Mortar Coil on Tony, trying to force out some of those cooldowns because they realize, well, if to get my way, they're just waiting for dampening. And in dampening, they might be able to just completely run down Warwick's or Alec, seeing how that Life Cocoon is not going to be super effective. and deep dampening, all that absorb is going to be reduced. So they could be banking for something like that. So far though, it's going pretty well for F2K MyWay. If they can hold on to it for another minute, they're gonna have basically all of their cooldowns. We just set foot into a dampening right there, and again, it's just all about buying the bleeds, having Casu as well at the pillar, just stacking up his poison, stacking up his gushing wounds, and just trying to be disruptive while not taking damage. Now we see another push here happening. It's actually kind of a split strategy choice here. So we got one person onto Warwick's here, Tony, and we got Casu on the mage. And right now, Tony might get Chaos Bolted. It's going to take a decent amount of damage here. He pops the Berserk. They're actually committing a little bit here. The Vitality Conduit from Hydra should stabilize everybody. And honestly, that Berserk didn't really get too much work done there from Tony, but I guess they got good pressure. Here's the Drestigath. They get the stun onto Asgrath. There's the Freezing Trap. Imp dispels it though. And once again, ABC are looking like a brick wall.
Yeah, but I mean, pardon me. At the same time, F2K, I feel like they're doing a really good job. I like the mind controls that Hydra is throwing out. They basically isolate one target. So if they want to go after Alec, Hydra's throwing out a mind control on Walrick. Then all of a sudden, there's no Mortal Coil, there's no fears coming up from Walrick, and it gives Casu and Tony an opportunity to actually get some damage rolling onto Alec. So if they can rinse, repeat that setup. Now we've seen a big burst opportunity on Alec, we've seen big burst on Walrick. Anything really can happen if you get the right amount of crits. So F2K MyWay definitely not out of this one yet. If we look at mana, I feel like Asgrath, he needs to go for a drink. Like, this is a dangerous spot to play in at around 60% mana at 10% dampening. Look at Hydra's mana, he's already at like 95%. So doing a great job managing that mana. And in terms of pressure, F2K MyWay, if it continues this trend, I feel like they might actually find themselves in a situation where they could win this game number one.
Alec pushes up, finds a polymorph on Hydra, setting up damage over onto Tony, but he did manage to get into bear form prior to the stun, reducing a ton of damage, and Hydra opts to use the Gladiator's Medallion to trade with the Dark Soul. I think that's more than a wise decision. I feel like it is unlikely they're going to die to any other threshold of damage other than the Dark Soul. Now utilizing the Mind Control to try and crowd control Walrix even further, soaking a counter spell, but now he'll be able to heal with Atonement, Purge the Wicked, and Penance, so that's going to be way more efficient for him. Hydra, like he was saying on his stream, he said if he plays at 100%, he thinks his team has a shot in this matchup, and right now he's at 100% mana, 15% into dampening. You can tell that they came to play, even though that these matches can be exhausting against the Mage Warlocks. They are definitely playing at their peak here to try and pull off a victory against all odds. There's the Freezing Trap, but Imp Dispel removes it. Tony unable to get that Entangling Roots in time, or perhaps just getting unlucky. Casu and Tony retreat back to the pillar. Hydra rotating through cooldowns, Rapture having now faded. There's still no Dark Soul and no Icy Veins threat for another minute. I would like to see F2K MyWay make a push, and they do immediately. Attack during this downtime of the cooldowns to tax Asgarath's mana even further. That could be the other part of their possible win conditions. And I do like that Hydra, he's consistently healing with Atonement off the pets if the Water Elemental pushes in, or if he sees the Imp in his line of sight. Here's a big push onto Alec. Asgrath getting into position, but his mana isn't looking good. If F2K MyWay can somehow manage to overwhelm ABC in this position and prevent Asgrath from drinking, they've sent the Hyena after Asgrath, the Hunter pet. That's definitely a good tactic. Oh, but they're pulling the Hyena back in onto Alec. I really think they could win this game if they're able to stop drinks. They mind control the mage, trying to pull him into a bad position when Asgrath wants to go to drink. You can tell the F2K MyWay have considered all the tactics of this matchup, as it's been a matchup that has been just bullying them the entire year. Perhaps today is the day they'll crack the code.
Oh, it's looking pretty good for them so far, but I do think Asgrath is sitting up for a drink right now. I'm not entirely sure. Big connect there with the Drestigath. A lot of damage here. Asgrath is going to pause his drink there. Didn't get any mana really, and he's going to use his big cocoon right there onto Alex. So once again, defensive cooldown being forced. They're fearing the little hyena right now, and they're trying to stop. They're trying to stop it from going after Asgrath. Look at that hyena. Look how fast it is.
Sprint, dude.
What is it? It has a sprint that you can use? They're going to Ring of Peace and they're just trying to avoid it.
I guess so.
Are they only playing the Hyena for that reason? I feel like they are. So Hyena is going to be off Asgrath, and that means he's sitting down for a drink. That means it's go time. They need to get some pressure here. No life cocoon available. Let's see how much of that mana that Asgrath actually just recovered is he going to have to spend to recover Warwick's. Not a whole lot, actually. And he's going to have his life cocoon back up in 20 seconds, so Right now, it's looking like ABC are in a pretty controlling position here, Van.
Yeah, one thing I really like about Hydra's build, even just the race he's playing, a lot of the time when we see jungles play, they're always human with Relentless, and I think that's actually a big mistake against Mage Lock, because then all it takes is one crowd control chain on the Priest, he can't Trinket, and triple Obsidian Claw, and the game's over. So the fact that Hydra actually has a response to that by being able to Trinket the spell gives his teams a lot more freedom. Walrus taking a little bit of damage, but still, it's not enough. The Icy Veins from Alec is really looking for counter pressure here. He gets the Polymorph on Hydra, and Tony is on the run. Now, we have to keep in mind at 33% dampening, this is where the game gets a little dicey. Hydra's going to be burning through a lot more mana, having to use Shadowmans, and Asgrath was actually able to go and get a little bit of a drink, so mana has kind of equalized. And I feel like it's at this point where ABC starts developing a little bit of a lead, as long as ABC doesn't just get outright one-shot.
Yeah, the double Drestigath's going to be a big threat here. They have pressure in two places, even while they're retreating. Walrick's relaying the Demonic Gateway. They're under pressure at the moment. Alec isn't even in the fight, and he's just dying to dots, trying to pull back to Asgard. Walrick's is getting mind-controlled into a really bad position. Alec polymorphs him, trying to slow down some of the pressure, but they do ultimately stun lock Walrick's. They're trying to pull him into an even worse position here, but now he goes for a double Mortal Coil, and now they've got a Warlock in their face. But a cheeky mind control over on Asgrath is trying to allow them to develop more pressure here. If they can keep up their damage on Walrick's, Asgrath's mana has burned down to about even with Hydra at this point in dampening. This is exactly what they need to be able to find victory. If they can hold this position for maybe another 2 or 3 minutes, I see potential for F2K MyWay. Casuo trying to jump in, gets Frost Nova, disengages out of it. Asgrath immediately using Life Cocoon along with his Fort Brew to try and make sure it's really beefed up as Life Cocoon is scaled off the Monk's maximum health. Now Walrix is standing in an aggressive position, trying to push Tony Meow over, but not finding any damage. They swap over to Alec. He immediately ice blocks. He was anticipating a huge amount of burst there, but he is now down an ice block. They trade that to drink to full mana, which I think is more than a fair trade. But these mind controls, Alex on hypothermia, he's going into enemy territory with that mind control, but Tony decides to jump on the Warlock instead. I suppose F2K MyWay are still just trying to stall, dampening not at a point where they feel they can win yet against the Mage Warlock.
They're just doing kind of a split-based strategy here. They just have Kasu hitting whoever is in his line of sight. They have Tony just trying to re-stealth and get damage onto whoever he can. Get a rake stun onto Warwick, get it onto Alec right now. And he's just going to juggle those DRs. And then, of course, they're going to go for the mind control. And Tony's going to go for the re-stealth. Now, Alec is going to be on stun DR, so he's probably going to stun Warwick's here. No, actually, Alec is really low, so he's going to go for the DR stun. They get the freezing trap onto Asgrath. Do they win the 50-50? Doesn't look like they do win the 50-50 right there. Very slow Imp spell, but I don't think it's going to matter too much. Instead of chasing Alex here, they are going to mind control Warwick's to the pillar, and then they're going to attack Warwick's instead. And honestly, the problem with the strategy is that Asgard can just drink whenever he wants, but this is a great way for the jungle to survive. If they can really, get that gas pedal onto Warwick's, maybe use that Berserk, use the Hunter cooldowns, and just try to rush him down in one trap through all cooldowns, they definitely have enough dampening to do so. And right now they're looking extremely healthy, and that's the biggest part here for F2K MyWay. If Hydra starts spamming out those Shadowmans, the game is going to be over before you know it. But as long as he can keep spamming out these mind controls, keep spamming out the penance, and purge the wicked, all that good stuff, then he is going to be in a pretty good spot here. And you can see Asgrath burning through his mana extremely quickly right now. This game is going to end at any moment.
I do agree. I think at this point in the game, what's really important for Walrix and Alec is they need to be sitting on their pets to split the Drestigath damage. It's actually a really good tactic. So if Alec is always on his Water Elemental and Walrick is always on his Imp, then the Drestigath damage gets split and you avoid that chance of getting one shot. But right now, Alec is kind of isolated, so that's an opportunity, and that's what I want to see F2K MyWay look for. If they can get the full damage of that Drestigath trinket, that's going to be a great opportunity for them. But ABC is really putting on some pressure now. Hydra forced to use his trinket into a third diminishing return polymorph with the leg sweep on Tony, but the coordinated damage just isn't there for ABC. They're getting a little crowd control, they're getting a little poke damage, but we're not seeing these really, really clean goes from them. And F2K MyWay, they're starting to develop a little bit of pressure. Look at Asgrath, he's almost completely out of mana. He just used the Life Cocoon. Dark Soul's going to get ripped out by Walrick as they look to find some damage in the match and force F2K MyWay once again into a very defensive position.
Oh, 2 Chaos Bolts. Casuo going to trade Exhilaration so Hydra doesn't have to spend mana to recover through that. And now that the Dark Soul is gone, F2K MyWay, have a free way to just stay on top of the Warlock here. There's no cooldown threats. They didn't save their Icy Veins. F2K MyWay can do whatever they want at this point if they can maintain their momentum. They've definitely got Walrix against the wall here. Freezing Trap lands, Imp dispels it instantly. Walrix trying to support, but now they're stacking up. They can easily cleave both the Mage and the Warlock in this position. Things are starting to unravel for ABC here quite rapidly, so long as Tony can stabilize. He trades out Survival Instincts to stay on target. They know they've got a win condition here. There's no big cooldown threat. If they can just stay in the middle of the map a little bit longer. Hydra's got 30% mana to maintain them, rotating through the pain suppression, rotating through the rapture, trying to stabilize them and keep them aggressive. F2K MyWay, have they done it? Have they cracked the code? Overwhelming pressure, Castle jumps over, interrupts Asgrath, then snipes out the trap. F2K MyWay looks solid in game one, almost as if jungle counters Mage Warlock.
Man, F2K MyWay securing that first victory against ABC. They have taken it down Mage Lock in game number one. Let's break that down. Let's talk about that setup onto Wally. What exactly were they doing there, Zico, to get them down?
Well, I think at the end there, they just put themselves in a pretty prime position, and they just played to their win condition there. But in order to get to that position, I think that's the interesting thing about this game. They just stood back. Tony just going for restabs, stunning whatever is closest to Hydra, and they were just they were okay with letting Asgraf drink a little bit, but anytime he did, they always went out and tried to pressure one of the DPS, just try to pressure everybody, get as much of a mana, like not lead, but I guess have as high mana as possible into dampening, because typically Priest, when you get to dampening, you're already basically out of mana, but Hydra's able to just look at his damage. He did basically the same damage as the Frost Mage here, just spamming out damage and healing with that damage, and that's why he was able to do it, to keep his team going for so long. So many purges as well, just trying to avoid damage before he even has to heal it, and it worked out beautifully here. They had all their defense at the end. They just charged in. Tony just traded his wall, used the second wall, and they're able to push Warwick's over.
Now it's going to be ABC's map choice here. While they do that draft process for the teams, is that strategy that you're talking about, Zico, here, is that going to be something they can carry out through the rest of this series then, or is ABC going to be able to adjust to that?
Well, I mean, we'll definitely have to see. I feel like if this was Cloud9 in this matchup, for example, they would kind of realize, look, as Mage Lock, yeah, it's scary playing aggressive against jungle, but what's really scary is getting to 50% dampening, 60% dampening. That's where, as Mage Lock, the control you have, sometimes it just spirals out of control and you can't take full advantage of it. I feel like for them, what they need to do is actually play aggressive in the early stages of the match. They need to go in, they need to actually use their offensive cooldown, set up good crowd control chains, and really pressure Hydra to not only use his mana, but actually try to find a win condition early on, because the Mistweaver healing is going to be super effective and he can pull back and get drinks when he wants. But if you let the game go on too long, I mean, at the end of the game, Hydra still had Rapture, Pain Suppression, Power Word Barrier. That's such a long time for a composition like Jungle to push in and attack a Destro Warlock, and you're not going to die through Pain Suppression and Rapture and Power Word Barrier. It's just not going to happen. So if that situation happens again, F2K MyWay can easily pick up game number 2. So for ABC, I feel like they have to play a little bit more aggressive in the match, or they could try to slow it down and go to a map like Tolvaron, maybe pick up a win there. I think in general, the Paladin looks really, really good. Like a lot of Mage Lock players, a lot of Mage Lock teams are actually opting for a Paladin over a Mistweaver Monk. And we do know that Asgrath, he does play the Paladin, so that could be a great option into jungle as well.
Would that be a more aggressive healer on the side of ABC?
Might just be better all around. It would be
more,
better.
I feel like it's more aggressive, it's more defensive. It's like Paladins are just in my opinion,
healer.
Paladins are by far the best healer in the game right now. So I think it works really well with Mage Warlock as well. I mean, that's what Diablos is playing. Even Cloud9, Cubsy playing Paladin. We haven't seen that in such a long time, but he is actually playing a Paladin now, and they have been playing it in their last week of games. So definitely super meta, and I think Asgrath, I hope ABC realizes it. Otherwise, I think F2K MyWay might walk away with this series, which would be big for them.
Yeah, that would be a huge indeed on the side of F2K MyWay, especially considering ABC likes to play that mage lock composition, which is what everybody has been trying to figure out how to kill. ABC now about a minute and a half left to choose their composition. We saw ABC, they ran quite a bit of verse, and if we want to see them play a little bit more aggressive on the side of ABC, Asgrath locking in Mistweaver, do we expect them to see maybe switch up their gear a little bit here, Supatees?
Maybe. I feel like now that they've got the map advantage, that this should be all right. I feel like the one mistake they made was having Icy Veins and Dark Soul both on cooldown for a substantial amount of time. Like, if it's ever to the point where Dark Soul and Icy Veins aren't available for 2 minutes and you're at 50% dampening, you have no way to say stop. Like, if Walrus just sat on his Dark Soul and never used it, F2K MyWay are constantly like, when's he going to do it? If he does it and we push in too far, then we're going to get counter-aggressed and pushed over. And same goes for Icy Veins. I feel like they need to have at least one of those available at all times, deep and dampening, when the jungle is trying to make their push. Otherwise, there's no threat, and then the jungle can walk all over them.
All right, so they do have the map advantage here on the side of ABC, locking in Ashamains. They've locked in the same composition, both sides here. Do we think that ABC is going to try that same strategy then that we saw in game 1, Zico, or are they going to maybe work something else out?
Well, I think they're going to probably just play a lot more aggressive before dampening, and that was a criticism. Was it Xset that F2K MyWay faced last week with the mage lock? That was my criticism of their mage lock as well. I was like, they gotta push in, they gotta play on top of them. Raikou was pushing in, trying to get CCs, which is good to do like a little bit later in the game. But in the very early stages, just try to burn a little bit of Hydra's mana, try to force out some cooldowns, push in, drop the Frozen Orb behind the pillar on one side, Blizzard the other side, have the Warlock on one side, you on the other side, that triangle formation with the Mistweaver in the back, and just try to tax Hydra's mana as much as possible. And to Hydra's credit as well, and this is something Ben already pointed out during the cast, but I really feel like this is a kind of a game changer, and it's something that we criticized, some of the teams for in the past, and that is human relentless. They just pick it like seemingly for no reason. Honestly, I feel like being a Night Elf in this matchup for Hydra is huge because he can avoid one extra crowd control, or he can avoid, if he's crossing the map and he gets feared and they swap to him, he might be able to Trinket and Shadow Meld, a Dark Soul Bolt, or he might be able to just Shadow Meld, depending on when the CC ends. It just gives him a lot of options and also gives him options to drink. So I feel like the Night Elf pick is definitely clever here.
All right, game number 2, F2K MyWay up 1-0 versus ABC.
Well, let's see what ABC ends up doing in this match. We'd like to see them play a little bit more aggressive. I really feel like things get super dicey if you let the game go on too long as Mage Warlock, and in the early stages, you should theoretically have an advantage with all your crowd control. So let's see what they do. Aggressive start here for F2K. Trap over on Asgrath, but really doesn't net too much. And once again, F2K looking like they want to retreat a little bit. They actually get a Survival Instincts. Nice little crowd control chain there by ABC. The Mortal Coil into the leg sweep with decent mana burst onto Tony. But it looks like if they let them retreat to the pillar, we're going to get a little bit of a reset here by F2K. And this is where we really want to see ABC kind of continue this aggression and push in. The question is, are they going to do that?
If F2K MyWay win here on Ashamains, I actually feel like they're going to win the entire series. Like, this is the first test for them. This is an incredibly favored map to the Mage Warlock in a matchup that I think is already favored to the Mage Warlock by quite a lot. So F2K MyWay could make a really big stance here if they're able to pull off victories against what is their hardest composition matchup. They try and get Alec knocked behind the pillar. I really like these strategies of mind controlling. I think he is even playing the explosive. No, he's not playing the explosive trap, but just trying to control them, pull them in. Look at Walrix in the mind control. Hydra pulls him around the corner. Then Asgrath has to get closer. This one adaptation by Hydra is definitely going to be an improvement for their team. Asgrath's trying to get in position for a stun, but gets intercepted by Kasu, potentially wanting to swap to Hydra in the leg sweep. He goes for the leg sweep, but Tony avoids it. It does at least land under the Priest, so they deny some healing, but I don't think it's long enough. Vitality Conduit, more than enough. Tony goes back to full health, and F2K MyWay look to retreat. I like that Kasu is also saving the Master's Call for Hydra. so that when they are trying to retreat, he doesn't really have a good way to move very fast. So the Hunter can use Master's Call to alleviate some of those slows on the Priest. Once again, the Mind Control on the Frozen Orb, trying to deny all of its damage. Mind Control is free of mana cost, and it's great for repositioning the spellcasters that normally have the position advantage. Icy Veins popped here for Alec. They're just going to trap him on it. They don't really care about landing a freezing trap at this point anyway with an imp on the battlefield, so I kind of like it. Just use it to disrupt some of the cooldown pressure here. It's all just about maintaining Hydra's mana, at least for the first 4 to 5 minutes.
Yeah, and he's doing a great job with that, but I gotta say ABC are, turning up the aggression here a lot. Hydra's going for mind control. He's gonna have to use his Prem right there, trying to avoid Warwick's Sphere. Now he needs to be careful. He could get polyed. Any polys right now, I think Alex might want to try to sheep caster and then try to swap to Hydra, but he should have his premonition coming back up in a couple of seconds, so he should be okay if he can line of sight a couple more hits. Or double dressed here, Warwick's overextended, but he was standing next to his imp, so it did soak up those 2 hits right there. That could have been a very dicey situation otherwise for Warwick's, but nice pet control for him. Gonna allow him to escape without a single cooldown used. Hydra tanking a full fear here, and Asgraf is in position to stun. They're gonna get sheeped here onto Hydra out of the fear. Tony in a full leg sweep here. Do they have the damage though? Hydra gets resheeped. Warwick's is there now, digging in with the Chaos Bolts. He gets a fear onto Hydra, but it's the art, and I don't think they have any more CC. But they forced out Tony's survival instinct right there, and that was Warwick's actually using his Dark Soul very late into the chain. So this is an adaptation here from Warwick. He just wants to make his Dark Soul and Hydra's Trinket not in sync, and that's also why Alec popped the early Icy Veins earlier. They want to make it so Hydra can't just Trinket every single Dark Soul, because they want to have that Dark Soul to actually finish the game. So nice adaptations here for both teams, and so far, it's I gotta say, it's going to F2K MyWay's plan.
Yeah, it's looking good. I will say, if we could replay in a Grand Arena, one thing I would have liked to see ABC do, and it's something we see Cloud9 do quite often as well, is when you're in those really scary situations, let's say we do make it a 50-60% dampening again, ABC, instead of trying to counter pressure and go toe-to-toe with the Rapture and the Pain Suppression and the Barrier, that's where you just pause the game. You just spam Fear, you just spam Polymorph. You don't even try to do damage, you just crowd control as much as you can. Then as soon as the Priest has no cooldowns, he basically can't heal anymore, and that's when you kind of push in. So I think ABC, they could have done a little bit better job in the late game, actually just spamming out crowd control and trying to live at all costs, instead of trying to like push through Rapture. So if that does happen again, that's what I want to see from ABC. But for now, they're looking to play aggressive and not even bring the game to that kind of risky point. Double Fear coming in from Hydra. Mind Control as well. Good Mind Controls once again. Hydra doing a really good job getting the crowd control out onto Asgrath, but the damage doesn't seem to be there. A little bit of pressure here onto Warwick right now as he gets interrupted. Interrupted for a second time, but so far Hydra's been able to pretty much easily heal through this damage, and they managed to force the life cocoon out onto Warwick.
Well, they're switching back over to the Imp, dispelling. Nice banish on the Shadow Fiend by Walrix. That's an important tool for Hydra to not only do damage, but also regenerate mana. So Walrix definitely wants to look to crowd control it when he can. Asgrath moves back and sits for a drink while F2K MyWay continue to retreat and try and extend this game into a deeper stage of dampen. I think we saw it at least above 50% before they were really able to swarm ABC. Now this is when ABC needs to consider, when do they pop their Icy Veins, when do they pop their Dark Soul, do they save it as a threat, or do they utilize it to try and finish the game? And they are playing the Explosive Trap, so they're trying to knock Walrix into a bad position, utilizing knockbacks and mind controls. I really like that adaptation from F2K MyWay, because one of the major difficulties on a map like this was, how do you stand in the middle of the map to attack the Warlock? Well, now you can just push the Warlock back to your pillar, and then mind control them into a bad position as well, because the Warlock doesn't move very fast. So if you knock them away from the gateway, this could be an excellent strategy for F2K MyWay overall in the series, and potentially the entire circuit, because I feel like aside from this matchup, this is a solid team considering they've only got jungle as an option. Look at this cheeky mind control in Asgrath, trying to really pull him out of the fight there, but now he rotates it around with a Paralyze into Polymorph, and now a double Shadow Fury, double Cataclysm. Good burst damage here. Tony jumping back to Hydra. Hydra trying to reposition with those feathers, but gets feared away. No damage, though, onto anyone at the moment here. Asgrass stunned up, freezing trap in the air. Alec moves over to try and soak it, not able to. There's the entangling roots down on the freezing trap as well. There's no imp to dispel it looks like, so that freezing trap lasted for quite a bit as they try to power through. Alec jumps on top of Walrix to try and soak a Drestagas, so the damage is split to himself as well as Walrix. That was a nice reposition on his part, realizing that Drestagas burst is really the only real way for the jungle to kill them before 50% dampening. So I like his repositioning there, and they are being patient with the Icy Veins and being patient with the Dark Soul. They need a threat, and those 2 cooldowns are the threat that they need later on in the game.
Yeah, and we're going to see another mind control here by Hydra onto Warwick's. So far, his mana is looking great. And here F2K, ooh, here we go. This is exactly what you need to be doing here on the side of ABC. They're finally pulling the trigger here onto Hydra. Nice stun there onto Warwick's, shutting down the Chaos Bolt during that setup. Master's Call coming out from Kasu. It's going to allow Hydra to just completely escape out of there. But he had to use a pain suppression there, and that's something that he likes to do. He likes to go for those early pain suppressions, but now he gets caught up in a sheep. If they can get another sheep into a fear, they could actually set up onto Hydra here. But nice interrupt there by Tony. Stops the Shame before Warwick can get there, but he does get the full fear. He prems it. Nicely done by Hydra. Double fear here from Hydra to just get a reposition. He knows he's not going to be landing any fears onto Asgrath. If anything is going to land in terms of CC from Hydra, it's going to be a mind control perhaps onto Asgrath. Chaos Bolt gets interrupted. Both teams just out in the open right now, building up their damage. And it looks like Alec is the one who takes the brunt end of this exchange. Now, finally, Warwick's going for the Chaos Bolt. He does get kicked by Tony, and they're going to do a go with it. They get the full stun into the entangling root. They win the 50-50, but Azrap does sneak in a life cocoon in between there. What a shame for F2K. They could have had the unending resolve there if they were able to land that trap just a split second earlier. I do think Kazu was waiting for the entangling roots before he wanted to pull the trigger, so a little unfortunate there on their end, but so far it's looking good for F2K. I do want to see ABC push in and try to AoE down Hydra again, though, if they have the opportunity.
It definitely really pressures his mana and creates kind of a window of opportunity, so we'll see if they can get it done. 23% dampening. Things are going to start spiraling out of control for both of these teams. Almost 10 minutes has elapsed. Both Ice Blocks still available for Alec. On any resolve, maybe they can get something here from Alec. The one thing, if I could criticize anything F2K MyWay is doing, is I feel like they're being a little bit impatient with their Drestagath. I really don't think it's good. Like, the last time they used it, Alec and Walrus was stacked up with the Imp, and it basically did nothing. So I feel like just having it available as like a scary moment for Walrus and Alec, I would rather them not use it than use it ineffectively, because I think at the very least it scares ABC into pushing in, because there is that imminent threat of a one-shot. Whereas if they just kind of throw it away and it doesn't really do anything, then all of a sudden Alec and Walrus can feel a lot more comfortable to actually push in. But F2K MyWay, they have a lot of pressure right now. Stun into trap. And they get it. They do manage to singe it. Unfortunate there for F2K MyWay. If that trap had stuck, I feel like the pressure might have just spiraled out of control for ABC.
Warwick's just trying to counter-aggress, having realized F2K MyWay made a big push here. He activates Dark Soul to try and be a threat, but he's not really even denting anyone. Tony just Survival Instincts as the Chaos Bolt, then retreats back to the pillar. They land a Polymorph, it looks like it was premmed. Nice premonition. As soon as that Dark Soul is over, I want to see F2K MyWay push back out again and try and prevent Asgrath from drinking. This is where it's very important that their Drestagath is saved so that they can land that burst damage when Asgrath tries to go to drink. Hydra's trying to heal at the pillar, but he's going to have to make a choice. Does he cross and take Asgrath's pillar, or does he continue to play this far away from the fight, trying to get some mind control on Alec? Good pressure onto 2 targets here. This is looking solid for F2K MyWay, so long as they can hold this position. Icy Veins is a threat. Hydra prems the poly again. Beautiful timing there. Now there's no Polymorph Diminishing Return as a threat for Hydra, but Tony gets Mortal Coil. Mortal Coil is not going to be available. I would push 100% right now. Without Mortal Coil to heal, without it to deflect their push, it really seems like it would be a good time. Dark Soul is still a minute away. Infernals are still a minute away, but they're choosing not to fight it out, rather waiting for dampening to be a bit higher, using the Hyena to poke Asgrath and keep him in combat. A mind control on Walrus. Look where Walrus is going. If Walrus gets stunned back here, this could be devastating. Tony's getting into position, not able to get there in time. And now Asgrath is in line of sight. Hydra gets polymorph. Tony has to run, immediately realizing Asgrath's the threat. Tony needs to avoid Asgrath's leg sweep by playing away from him. Hydra into the full fear. Tony trying to get back to the pillar in line of sight. Asgrath might leg sweep Hydra out in midfield. They polymorph him. I'd love to see a swap to Hydra.
Oh.
But Walrix is not in a good position. Asgrath desperately tries to get back in line of sight and pick him up, but this is going to cost him a lot of mana to heal through this at 40% dampening, opting to use Life Cocoon instead and try and save his mana for later into the fight. But ABC need to focus up on trying to find a drink here. I don't think that Asgrath can win this game with the amount of mana he has. They're desperate. They swap the Hydra. He trades Pain Suppression during the stun and is trying to get back to the pillar. Can Alec close it out here through Pain Suppression? I feel like it's unlikely. Looking for Shadow Mend, activating Desperate Prayer, line of sighting, Counterspell not up, Spell Lock not available with the Imp, but Hydra's scared. He drops the barrier for personal defense as well. Dark Soul and Infernals have just about to be called in, and Asgrath is regenerating mana, and ABC put themselves back in the game.
Yeah, that swap to Hydra right there, that's exactly what we were talking about a little bit earlier. If they can swap to Hydra, they're going to tax his mana so much faster. This is the second time they get a good go onto Hydra. Both times they force out the Pain Suppression, they burn a lot of his mana. This time around he had to use the barrier as well, because barrier actually increases your healing. So if you're going to be spending a lot of mana, if somebody's already low, you may as well drop a barrier and, you know, save extra mana by just having, you know, stronger heals. So I wouldn't say F2K MyWay are out of it yet, but they are definitely not in the greatest position. They need to get something done right now. If this trap gets singed, it could be bad, but it doesn't, and they do force out the unending result. They might be able to kill through it here. Life Cocoon looks like a power word shield right now. Are they going to stay in, or are they going to retreat? That is the question. This kind of moment, this is where you want us to stay in, trade out the survival instinct, and push the target over. Let's see what they decide to do. They got the Berserk going. They got Warwick to about 50%. Look at Asgrath's mana bar. Look how fast he is chugging through that. They can keep them out here in the open. They can keep them on their toes here. It could be massive. Alec now getting swapped to a little bit. Next trap. They don't get the singe on the trap either. 2 traps in a row here for the jungle. This could just be Warwick's end, dude. They don't have a Life Cocoon. They don't have anything for Warwick's. I do believe he just got a Health Stone right there. And now Asgrath with that statue, and he is out of the trap. Should be fine to keep Warwick's going here, but look at the mana. It is completely equalized. If they can stay out in the open, I think they can win the game here. I think if F2K pulls back, they're basically accepting defeat.
Dude, they are in so much trouble right now. Hydra's mana down to around 30%. And ABC is finding a little bit of pressure, but at the same time, Walrix caught into a stun with a stun on Asgrath. The full trap lands. Can he singe it? It doesn't look like it. Walrix could easily fall. He's trying to kite away. The polymorph spam's coming in. Alec doing a great job with crowd control, but now in mind control, isn't going to be able to get too much done, but that is the push. What a close call there for Walric. ABC manages to hold on, but look at Walric's mana. Look at Asgrath's mana. There's literally nothing left. He just used the Life Cocoon. ABC has nothing left. They need to try to find a win, but Hydra's got his trinket. He can trinket this polymorph, and he does. He wants to keep his team alive, and I feel like if F2K MyWay once again can top off, they can just go for one final push and close out this game.
They use the Explosive Trap to knock the Imp out of range of dispelling Asgarath's Freezing Trap. If they do that again, they're going to win this game. They just need to pull it off and live a little bit longer here. Hydra spamming out Mind Controls desperately. Alec Blink's out of range. Walrus is out of range, but they're rotting down. There's no mana left. They pop Icy Veins. Alec is desperate to force them away, but they life grip the leg sweep, pulling Tony to safety right as Walrix got stunned. He can't follow up with any Chaos Bolts. Tony going to retreat. Asgrath needs to drink. Where's the Hyena? Is it in combat chasing Asgrath is the question. I think it's polymorphed in midfield, so now attacking Walrix. They need to get damage out right now. They got Pain Suppression. They got Aspect of the Turtle. It's time to use those cooldowns to make a big push. They just need to land one more Freezing Trap undispelled. Kasu leaps over, lands the Freezing Trap. Where's the Entangling Root? No, he gets Shadow Fury. He was not able to root it up. They kick the Chaos Bolt. They need to stay on target. Kasu's choosing to run away. He uses Exhilaration. I suppose he can just attack from range with the Aspect of the Eagle here, so at least he gets some benefit from that cooldown while still being able to line of sight. Walrix resummoning the Imp. Alec gets swapped over to Asgrath Life Cocoons Walrix, but now Alec won't have its defense. They're just trying to maintain bleeds and poisons and slowly whittle down ABC without overcommitting, but now Dark Soul's available. There's no Gladiator's Medallion on the healer or the Feral. The next leg sweep, and Dark Soul could win the game. Alec has to trade his Ice Block. Asgrath tries to use Ring of Peace to prevent the retreat. He does. He lands the leg sweep with no trinket. Warwick is going in, but Alec is getting bursted. Dressagath drops in. Mortal Coil intercepts him for a moment. This is coming down to the wire between these teams. Can F2K pull off the miracle?
F2K played pretty much a perfect game so far, but the first mistake comes through. Tony walls and Hydra pain suppressions at the same time. It's gonna be at the back end of these mind controls. Can they get something going? They mind control Alec, they're pushing in. Warwick uses the unending resolve. He gets stunned up, no life cocoon available. Asgraf has no mana. He's in a full trap, he gets singed, but is it going to be enough? Alec gets kicked, and Warwick gets dropped at 68% dampening. F2K MyWay are showing them the way of the damned.
The way of the damn. I like it. F2K MyWay winning 2 games in a row against Mage Lock. ABC really scared here as they're almost going to go home with a 3-0. Now it's going to be ABC's map choice once again. What is their next move? How are they going to be able to turn this series around here, Zico?
I think it's time to lock in hook point. No, I'm not sure. Maybe it's time to bring in Nixie, go for like a little comp swap or something. Or to swap Asgraf to the Pally. I think that you either bring in Nixie or you swap Asgraf to the Pally. Those are your 2 options if you're ABC right now.
We can see the replay on screen here. Any takeaway from that setup on Wally here, Supatese?
I mean, F2K MyWay are just maintaining their mana for the late game, only overlapping those cooldowns in that one instance, but that game wasn't going to go to another Dark Soul, so making sure that they just survived that. I actually don't even think it ended up being that much of a mistake, because Dark Soul, sometimes you can die through one defensive cooldown. So using I think you could. That deep and dampening, leg sweep that in the open, if he's getting multiple Chaos Bolts, I do think Dark Soul could kill you. And at that point, he's not gonna, the Warlock isn't gonna live to the next Dark Soul. We're at 70% dampening when Walrix dies and still 1 minute and 15. There's no way that game goes to another Dark Soul. So I think overcommitting the cooldowns in that one instance when they both didn't have a trinket, I don't really blame them for doing it. And it meant that Hydra didn't need to overheal either. If it was only 1 defensive cooldown, maybe he has to spam Shadow Mends and then he's totally out of mana. But if he uses 2 at that very specific instance, it's normally not a good idea to overlap them, obviously. And maybe you could argue whether or not it's min-maxed to use it like that in that instance. But I think it saved Hydra mana and allowed him to continue to play aggressive at the end of the game and just overwhelm Walrix. So they were able to take away Ashamane's. The only other big map really is Tolvaron, and then they're not going to get their map pick for the rest of the series, which means they'll have to win on Blackrook. If they're losing on Ashamane's, there's no way they're winning on Blackrook. So F2K MyWay, I feel like unless ABC changed their classes to Paladin or changed their comp, maybe Rogue Mage Paladin or even Rogue Lock Paladin, something different on their side, I don't want to see this Mistweaver again.
What do you guys, Ben, what do you want to see them do? Asgraf on the Paladin, maybe bring Nixie in. What do you think is their best move here on the side of ABC?
Oh no. Wait, how?
Muted.
There's no way. Maybe, I don't think he's forgot to unmute. I think his mic is just...
I think it's, all right.
Or maybe it's only to us? Is it only to us, maybe?
I have no idea, but I'm going to pass the question on to Zika, but we can't hear Ben.
What was the question?
What do you want to see ABC do in terms of composition, or what should they do for game number 3 if they want to turn the series around?
Sorry, I got lost in Ben's eyes.
You're good. You're good.
Well, I want to see them play the Holy Paladin. I think if Asgraf has it prepared, if they practice Mage Lock Pally, I want to see a big map. I want to see Mage Lock Pally, and then maybe if they go to a smaller map, maybe it's time to just blind lock Nixie just to have a rogue on one of those smaller maps. Yeah, I think those are really the only options that we're going to be seeing from ABC. So Tolvir, step number 1 completed, and honestly on Tolvir, Mistweaver isn't that bad, but I do think the main important difference between the Mistweaver and the Holy Paladin is just that ineffable truth in deep dampening. You have like a hard way to stop their damage, and that's what you need on the side of ABC. Up until 40-50% dampening, you have a hard stop. You just press Cocoon, like you're chilling. You're not really gonna die. But when you get to 50-60% dampening, Cocoon gets reduced by the dampening healing reduction. Ultimate Sacrifice does not. Ultimate Sacrifice is always, if you take damage, 100% of that damage will be transferred to the Paladin. Doesn't matter if it's a 99% dampening or not. And as a Paladin, you can just bubble yourself and then ultimate sack somebody else. And if you do that, in those 60-70% dampening pushes that F2K is doing, you're going to have a great answer there. Plus, not to mention, you obviously have the ineffable truth, so you're going to be able to get, you know, a hand of sacrifice pretty much all the time, much more often than what you're going to get the life cocoon. And we are going to see it, my man.
Yes. Alec on the Fire Mage, Asgrath on the Holy Paladin while he's sticking to that Warlock here, and they're on Tolvaron Arena. Now that we can see the composition from ABC, they locked in Tolvaron. What do we think, Subtees? What is their plan here? Are they just going to go super aggressive here for game number 3?
I don't know if it's super aggressive. Alec also is fire instead, so I mean, it makes sense with Tolvaron with Greater Pyro being a lot more threatening based on the positioning here. I feel like Mage Warlock, it doesn't need to be aggressive to be able to win the matchup. And then normally you see the Paladin and you think aggression, but with the Divine Revelations Azerite trait, basically giving them infinite mana, they don't have to. They can kind of just sit back, throw judgments in, maybe make a push for Hammer of Justice, but I do think ABC is a team that plays their matchups more calculated. I would be really surprised to see them just like run in the entire game and play aggressive. I just feel like that isn't how ABC have played. That's not how they got their BlizzCon title. They were just known for running the game in circles into dampening, so it would be surprising if I saw them aggressive in this matchup.
On the side of F2K MyWay, though, Zico, what do you think their strategy is here? Are they going to try and do what they did in game 1 and 2, or is that not going to? Are they not going to be able to do that now that ABC has switched their comp up?
I think it's going to be tough, but I do think so. If it was any other map in the same composition, I would say they can probably kill Asgarath actually on the Pally if he's playing a lot of Ineffables. But on this map, I think even if they do get on top of Asgarath, I think he's just going to run away and get his cooldowns back. I think they're just going to have to do what they did before, try to avoid getting killed behind that pillar, and then make a push and deep dampening onto Warwicks or onto Alec. And Alec is a lot more viable as a target on that Fire Mage because he's just going to be taking more damage than a Frost Mage. He only has 1 Ice Block, less control, etc. But the other thing is, it actually benefits F2K MyWay if ABC doesn't push in, because you see the poke damage that Alec is doing right now. He's hard casting a shitty little Flame Strike with a 20% slow. It doesn't really do any real damage. It doesn't really do much. He's actually playing the Flame Patch too, so when he casts it, he drops a thing on the ground that does a little bit of extra damage. But if you compare that to Frost Mage, Frozen Orb, and all the slows from the Blizzard and everything, that's why you pick the Frost Mage, for that poke damage behind the pillar. So we'll see if this Fire Mage pick backfires. Alex is in the mind control right now. There's an explosive trap right there as well. I just walked him into it and knocked him back, but maybe a little bit of miscommunication there. Still, it's looking good so far for F2K MyWay.
Do we have Vindruki back yet? I'm giving him like 1 second. I don't think we do. Walrick stunned up here off to the side, and Alec goes for Greater Pyro. Is Alec also playing Haste? A bit curious to see if he's playing Expedient or Versatile. So he's not. He's playing full Versatile. Still trying to be as durable as possible in this specific matchup. I'm curious to see how F2K MyWay play what is their worst map and matchup possible. These explosive traps and mind controls. That's what I really want to see from F2K MyWay. Can they put an explosive trap down right at their box and then mind control the Warlock into it and knock them around the corner into a stun? It would be kind of like a layup in basketball or something. I think it's called that. Hart is probably mad at me if I made a mistake on that one, but it's a very similar idea of just kind of like bouncing the Warlock into a good position and then slam dunking them. Hydra gets stunned up here. They're trying to swap to the Priest. That is going to be a big advantage of the Paladin, is that Hammer of Justice and Immortal Coil is going to be available quite frequently. And Hydra Shadow Melds, trying to avoid some casted spells there. That Night Elf ratio getting a lot of value in this specific matchup. And the damage right now is substantial on both Alec and Walrix, but they need to avoid the Dark Soul. So Tony's going in. Bit risky, but he wants to get crowd control on Asgarath and maybe push for an unending resolve. He's getting feared away, unable to land the stun. Avenging Wrath available, but not even needed here. And Alex still just looking for Greater Pyros. Did he Shadow Meld that? I don't believe so. So Tony at the pillar, though, is just healing himself with Regrowth. Very important that Tony uses some of his mana to heal, so Hydra doesn't have to, as this is a matchup likely going into dampening.
Yeah, absolutely. And wait, let me, Ben?
All right, well, I guess I'll take over. Right. What's up? I'm back. The Flame Strike's coming in from Alec once again, and I do like this pick. I think in general, The Flame Strike kind of serves the same purpose as the Frozen Orb and the Blizzard, is you can kind of just shut down drinks. Walrick actually getting bursted down quite heavily right now. Trap lands onto Asgarath, but it does get singed, so great job there. There's actually a sacrifice that lands from Asgarath, and that's kind of one of the nice things is if F2K MyWay, they sit back a little bit too much in the matchup, Asgarath is, with the Inevitable Truth, is going to be able to get those sacrifices out really, really frequently, and he can rotate through his Trinket, he can rotate through his Sacrifice and his Divine Shield, so it just gives you a lot of immunities, and I think that's part of the reason why the Paladin is so desirable against what F2K MyWay is running, this Jungle Cleave. And I think ABC, this pick, this map, is probably one of the best things that they could have done, so definitely really happy they went with that, and we'll have to see if it ends up working out.
Wait, did we lose Zico?
No,
I don't
Maybe we
know.
lost Zico.
You lost it.
Good combo, crowd control here by ABC, but Tony's not even taking a point of damage here. Stunning up Alec and then looking to dot him with Rip and Rake and then retreat back to the pillar as soon as possible. And just let those dots do the damage and see if they can run the Paladin out of mana. That's going to be a tall order. These Flame Strikes getting some value around the corner. There's the mind control. Oh, they're able to remove it just in time, but if Walrix is mind controlled and knocked around the corner, that could be devastating. They mind control him again as Walrix can go around the corner. There's the knockback. Oh no, not the knockback. They just went for a tar trap. I'm really surprised that wasn't a knockback. That would have put him into such a terrible spot away from Asgarath. But now they're stacked up. Oh, they reposition and avoid the triple Shadow Fury.
Nice.
Alec blinks in and snipes the Polymorph though. Walrix restabilizes and tries to make a push, gets Scorpion stun, dispelled off by Asgarath. Good dispel in the silence. Alec gets stunned. They stop Poly, but they can't stop Fear at the same time, so Hydra's in a Fear at the moment. It's actually Alec who's a bit behind. Tony takes 2 Chaos Bolts and then ducks recover with Vitality Conduit. F2K MyWay, I mean, they have definitely polished up this matchup substantially. I feel like this is a matchup where Jungle was just losing all of the time, and now that they've got momentum, they've got mana, they feel like they're in total control.
Oh, Hydra gets Hammer of Justice right there as he wanted to go in for the Fear onto Asgarath, and it got a little bit aggressive there. It's going to cost him his pain suppression, but honestly, this early into the match, I don't think it's going to matter too much. He should be able to get that back before the next attack onto him happens. Now I'm going to see Warwick's getting a Dark Soul Chaos Bolt off here. You need to be a little bit careful, but Dark Soul is going to be running out here, and we are going to be seeing this Kasu doing Kasu things here, applying the latent poison, trying to get up to 10 stacks, trying to apply his Gushing Wounds. Tony going for the Restealth. Hydra going outside of the pillar. Purge the Wicked, inside the pillar, outside the pillar, Penance, back inside, etc. Just spamming out those instants, ducking in and out. And that's one thing Hydra has always been a legend at, is his positioning. His ability to always be at the right place where he needs to be is something that has made him a great healer throughout the years. And this is no different here. He understands exactly how he needs to approach this matchup at, almost 10% dampening. He's still got 90% mana. He's using his cooldowns very early on. So if you're playing a priest healer and you find yourself struggling, just look at what this man is doing right here. He's throwing out the mind controls, trying to avoid both wizards, going for a Fear right here now. They're going to get aggressive here onto Alec, it seems. He activates the Temporal Shield. He's not going to be taking too much damage. They're going to go for Warwick's. Greater Pyroblast is going to connect onto Tony. He does have a Powered Shield. Nice premonition there onto the Sheep by Hydra. They need to stop this Fear. If Warwick gets a Fear onto Hydra, they could set up out of it, but he actually goes for a Fear onto Tony. So not going to be able to land that one. And now once again, F2K back behind the pillar, just trying to keep their mana, trying to keep everything nice and smooth, and they're going to look to find their next window of opportunity here, Van.
Ooh, Alec getting bursted down. Asgarath, his mana isn't looking the best right now. Mind control once again going out onto Walrick. He's not going to be able to get out any peels whatsoever. A stun onto Asgarath, as well as a bash onto Alec. And things are starting to unravel a little bit here, but luckily with that Paladin, there's two Blessing of Protections. Basically, Asgarath has every single cooldown available. And once again, the Greater Power Blast spams come in, interrupts are down, so F2K MyWay, they are forced to retreat. That being said, Asgarath, he's going to have to find a drink at some point in this match. I think Walrix and Alec could probably afford to play a little bit more passive and off the pillar if they wanted to. And try to avoid some of those mind controls. If Hydra can spam out smites on you, he could spam out mind controls. I feel like the positioning isn't necessarily the best. So just slow it down a little bit. We do see actually Asgarath, his mana is looking absolutely fantastic in this match as well. So it seems like most things are working out here for ABC as we approach about 20% dampening.
I'm curious to see how F2K MyWay navigated here. They could just close the series out, which would be devastating for ABC. This was a matchup that I thought they would be able to easily overcome. If they got 3-0'd by F2K MyWay, that's going to be quite an impressive feat of strength for F2K MyWay, definitely increasing the likelihood of qualifying to the BFA finals from this circuit. Greater Pyroblast from downtown, going to connect onto Casio. Hydra picks them up around the corner, but they're stacked. Triple Shadow Fury. Alec trying to get in reposition. Would like to see Alec move to the right side of the pillar, so at least one spellcaster's in line of sight. Tony's making a push here. Triple crowd control by F2K MyWay. Alec has to disrupt it using the Gladiator's Medallion, and they do manage to land the Imp Dispel. As soon as they do, F2K MyWay say, all right, we're back to the pillar, and Alec's trying to make a push on top of them, but he's taking a ton of damage. They use Explosive Trap to knock Alec away. That Explosive Trap, man, just that one change, the mind controls in the Explosive Trap, make this matchup look possible for F2K MyWay. Even using it defensively when the mage blinks in and runs out of mobility is a great option.
Yeah, just having that extra interrupt, having that extra bit of disruption, being able to knock the imp away or knock the target that you're killing behind the pillar after you mind control it. We've seen them do it, and it's been really, really nice stuff so far from F2K MyWay, but they are against a brick wall of composition, and I'm going to be honest, right now I would say ABC are in the lead. We got Hydra down to about 70% or so mana. Not the worst situation by any means. We're at almost 30% dampening, so definitely better situation that you would expect from the Priest, but still, comparatively to the previous games, his mana is not looking great. Their cooldowns are rotated back up, though. They have all their trinkets, they have all their shield walls, and they get a massive hit there onto Warwick, so they force out Asgard's trinket right there. Not looking all bad, and that was actually the Infernals being called in there from Warwick's as well. So I want to see them as soon as those Infernals land. I want to see, or as soon as those Infernals fade, I want to see the team of F2K push in again onto Warwick's or onto Alex, depending on positioning and who is more exposed. If it's Alec, maybe they can get a mind control and drag him back even further. Otherwise, maybe they can get something going onto Warwick. I do want to see them push in once again and try to maybe utilize the fact that Ultimate Sacrifice is actually down right now and the Trinket is down, because if they do get the 50-50, there's a decent chance that they force Unending Resolve or Bubble, and those are like the big cooldowns that you want to be forcing around this time in the game, because most likely they won't be up before, they need them again.
Yeah, I mean, we can see what ABC is going to be able to get done. Still, Asgrath, his mana is looking okay, and the team of F2K MyWay is kind of pinned back at the pillar. Asgrath right now with his Divine Shield and the Blessing Protection still has some defense, but Walrus is getting bursted down. Blessing Protection will end up coming out. So good job there, good push there by F2K MyWay, just slowly but surely working through those cooldowns. And I will say the one thing about ABC, I don't know if it's just F2K MyWay playing an absolute insane game. I don't know if it's because Hydra's playing a Night Elf with Trinket, but ABC, they really haven't had many opportunities in the game. Like their coordinated assaults, they haven't been really great, and I don't know if that's just because ABC, is not playing ideal, or if F2K MyWay is just playing such a solid game where they're really denying all of these setups, making it extremely difficult for ABC to actually kind of make a power play and get that control on Hydra and look for that all-in one-shot with a Mortal Coil into a Hammer of Justice. We just haven't seen that happen in the series so far.
Yeah, the aggressive combination of crowd control is just lacking for ABC. F2K MyWay are able to do what they want at every single turn of the fight here. If they can manage to beat a Mage Warlock on Tolver on Arena, I feel like that's literally never been done. Even when we saw Mistweaver jungle, I feel like we've never seen a jungle cleave beat Mage Warlock on Tolveron Arena. This would basically be a world first or a BFA first for F2K MyWay here, and possibly the jungle composition as a whole, as I can imagine Enlight are watching this, and as well as Turtle from North America watching this and stealing some of the strategy ideas to try and utilize against other teams in their circuit runs. Perhaps we see an uprising of the jungles as they've just been held back by these Mage Warlocks for so long. They've stalled the 44% dampening, and Hydra still has a significant portion of mana. They stun up Alec, they get dots onto Walrix. Casu is basically playing as if he's a ranged hunter spec, just only getting Serpent Sting up, using kill command from the pet, and just trying to avoid damage. But then that way they know only Tony is going to be the blast target, and if it's only one blast target, there's no swap opportunity. He can just tank damage with pain suppression. He can just tank damage. They knock Walrix into the the room and jump onto him immediately, trying to punish that positioning. Asgrath moves in. Alec tries to sneak into Polymorph. Now Asgrath in a stun. There's the Entangling Root, Freezing Trap. Do they win the 50-50 on the Imp Dispel? They do win the 50-50. They need to make a push here. Walrus gates back, but he's very low on health at this point. Goes for a Shadow Fury. Asgrath has Avenging Wrath. Goes for a big kill. Gets it. Not too big, though, at 49% dampening. Alec has a Temporal Shield. After that Avenging Wrath is over, I would love to see F2K MyWay make a push here. Asgrath is likely to be able to recover. Maybe not. I mean, Alec didn't top off through Avenging Wrath. F2K MyWay are still in a solid position.
Oh, they open up onto Alec here. They force out his Gladiator's Medallion with that stun there from Tony. Very, very nice exchange here. This was the Berserk of Tony, and they didn't use a single one of Kasu's cooldowns. So Kasu on that next trap is going to be able to really do a lot of damage here onto Warwick's, presumably. Let's see if they can get it. And honestly, I don't want to criticize Asgrath because, like, mechanically, he's one of the absolute best healers in this game. But Asgrath, bro, like, I was watching Clyde last week. He was freedoming every single trap attempt. You just freedom yourself, like right there. Your teammates are low. Press freedom. If you freedom yourself, you're not gonna get trapped plus rooted at the same time, and you're not gonna need to rely on your OP mage Alec here to eat the freezing trap for you. You can actually just get dispelled. So that's one thing I want to see Asgrath do more in this match. But right now we are at 55% dampening. This game could end at any moment. They open up onto Alec. Warwick gets kicked on the Chaos Bolt. They have a couple of seconds before they have to retreat here. They get the stun onto Alec, and now Tony has no more shutdown, no more kicks, no more stuns. Flies back to Hydra's safety there behind the pillar with that grip, and Asgrath might need to drink here soon, honestly. And if he does, I'm expecting F2K MyWay to once again push in here. Tony is making his way over and stuff. They're going for Warwick. Let's see, does he have enough combo points to potentially get the Entangling Roots? Alec pops the Combustion. Here we go, big damage. But once again, wait, what? Didn't Hydra just grip him the previous go? Is he? What?
He gripped him again.
He probably wild charge. I think wild charge.
Yeah.
There's nothing else that looks like that animation other than wild charge.
Okay.
All right. Well, back to the pillar, and F2K MyWay, they managed to survive through the combustion. Now another trap lands on Asgrath that gets singed, but look, Asgrath, he's struggling, 61% dampening, looking for a big Divine Favor heal, but it literally doesn't do anything. Alex and Walrix are just rotting down lower and lower. F2K MyWay, complete domination in this match. How are they still dead? F2K MyWay is literally just hiding
heal,
behind
dude.
the pillar. Just heal him. But
What is
63%
happening?
dampening makes that really hard. Walrix realizes, okay, you know what? We're losing this range game. We kind of got to get in on top of the jungle, and that's not necessarily the greatest thing. Asgrath's mana is not looking good. They're making all in onto Hydra. Can they take him down? Hydra just has to live a little bit longer. Paint suppression last. Can F2K MyWay hold on? Combustion gets ripped out by Alec once again, looking to burn down the team of F2K MyWay. But Hydra's looking like he might be able to stabilize, and they need some crowd control on Asgrath. The sacrifice is up onto Walrick, and that's going to keep him alive, but this is a really tense game. At 67% dampening, really anything can happen, but it looks like F2K MyWay, they are falling apart. Hydra forced to use his trinket. He cannot heal Kasu. Kasu uses the aspect of the turtle. There's still some immunity cooldowns here for the side of ABC, and I feel like ABC, this push might just win them the game.
Yeah, I mean, they've got overwhelming pressure. They still have a bop. Just use the Blessing of Protection, use the Unending Resolve, and just run them over. Full Polymorph, but will that be a mistake? It's healing Hydra back up. Alec is falling behind. Cauterize Trigger's likely having to Ice Block as well, but Castle has nothing on 1% falls. Let's see, can Tony pull this off with Avenging Wrath still up? He charges out in the midfield. If Asgrath lets him die in this position, he still has every answer. It would definitely be a big blunder. Tony's still trying to just find a way to victory here. I mean, you can't blame them for still trying because they made it all the way to 71% dampening, but I feel like it is incredibly unlikely that they can kill through a bop and a sacrifice here. Maybe? I don't know. Greater Pyro? Where's the barrier from Hydra? I feel like he's been sitting on this for a while. He's not running the big barrier, but it could have added at least some damage reduction. They're still trying to play it out. At 73% dampening, anything can happen, but Tony's getting pulled into a really bad position. Chaos Bolt in the sky. They grip him on the Hammer of Justice. They really want a 2v3 here, but I mean, really, I feel like just tap out, go to Blackrock Hold, play the same game, and you'll have a good map at this point. And with that stun lock combo, yeah, I mean, okay, Hydra, desperate for everybody conduit. It's not possible.
There we go.
This is psychological warfare at this point.
I mean, you can't blame him for trying, right? You know.
I don't know. So
Yeah.
I feel like
Go.
that game. So what I will say for ABC is I feel like their damage felt really low for most of the game. At the end, when they just pushed in and pressed all their buttons, literally just combust whoever with no crowd control, that's when it looked the best for them. Like just getting damage rolling and eventually finding those windows of opportunity. I feel like you can't always go for the perfect one shot. Just getting out pressure in a matchup like this is really, really important. And you can see, I mean, with dampening high enough, things really spiral out of control. And as the Paladin, you're pretty happy. I mean, you have the Blessing of Protection, you have Sacrifice, you have Divine Shield, you have Trinket, a lot of tools to work with. And I think ABC kind of realized if we just sit back and essentially do nothing, we're going to lose this game. So really like that they pushed in, they managed to find the win, big swaps onto Hydra, and eventually when F2K MyWay was too far behind, they just went for crowd control on Hydra, took down Casu, and it was a good push there by ABC. I'd like to see that more often throughout the match, but other than that, I mean, picking up a win for ABC is definitely going to be feels good, but the problem is now they've kind of burned through all their large maps, and it's going to be Casu, Tony, and Hydra picking the maps, and I think it's extremely likely we're going to Blackrock Hold.
All right. Game number 4 here. ABC winning that last game, looking to turn it around, tie it up 2-2. But as Ben was saying, now it's F2K MyWay's map choice here. And I feel like this is just going to be a really difficult game on the side of ABC here, Zico, if they want to turn this around.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, well, it depends. I think if ABC locks in the same comp, they're probably going to be in an okay spot still. It's going to be a lot harder because they can't just utilize the large maps like that. So getting to dampening should be a little bit easier, unless they, just play super aggressive on top of the jungle. But I feel like at the end there, Casu could have just lined. Like, he ran in to kill Alec when his healer was in CC. Like, I feel like he just needed to sit back. There was nobody on the other side of the pillar. He could have just waited there until Hydra was completely out of CC. Hydra had mana, like they had everything. And Hydra had Vitality Conduit, I don't know. I feel like Casu kind of threw there at the end, sadly.
So do we expect to see the Holy Paladin and the Fire Mage then again here for this next game, Supatees?
Well, it's not the Fire Mage, so ABC changed back to Frost on the small map. I think they were worried maybe about the Fire Mage getting overrun with just multiple interrupts on the Greater Pyros. So going back to Frost on Dalaran, stacked up for Frozen Orb and Blizzard, I think makes sense. I think they're also realizing that with the Paladin having those immunity cooldowns allows them a lot more freedom to just like stand on top of F2K MyWay, especially in those deep dampening stages, whereas with the Monk, they don't, and they try and stand on the top of the jungle and then they just die. So switching over to the Paladin is going to be very important for ABC in this series if they want to take it all. I'm surprised that F2K MyWay didn't go to Blackrock Hold. I would imagine that they're opting for Dalaran now because of their explosive trap strategy. They might be able to knock Walrix from the top platform down to the bottom, or even mind control Walrix or the Mage Alec down to the bottom side, and that could actually allow them to win faster than Blackrock would have enabled them to be able to.
If that's F2K's strategy is going here, going to Dalaran on the side of ABC, what can they do in terms of positioning with the comp that they've chosen, Zico, if they want to try and avoid them getting split up like that on the platforms of Dalaran?
Well, it depends on how the matchup is going to play out, but I feel like this matchup is going to be a bit more standard, a little bit more what we usually see from jungle, where they're just going to be going for setups. They're maybe not going to be sitting back the whole time, waiting for dampening to kick in, waiting for, a late game opportunity. I think on a map like this, you can go in, try to force out a trinket, try to force out, a sacrifice, something, get your little trap. And then if it gets dispelled or you force something, you just run back to the pillar and you can just rinse and repeat. And I think the weakness of F2K MyWay is actually if they stack up behind that box and they get AoE down basically by the Frost Mage, or, they go in and Hammer of Justice Hydra and they set up a go on him. And for ABC, if F2K are just chasing them around, trying to run them over, it's more beneficial for, whoever the target is to run at the bottom side of the map. You always want to run at the opposite side of the enemy healer, so that, for example, let's say you have Tony on you and you're a mage, you can drag him to the opposite side of where Hydra is. If Tony chases, he can get feared, Hydra won't be able to dispel. That's going to force Hydra to either leave his pillar or, let Tony eat damage in the fear. He's going to leave the pillar, and then you can kind of open up the game by crowd controlling him or swapping to him.
All right, well, game number 4, ABC trying to tie it up 2-2. It is 1-2, ABC versus F2K MyWay.
Well, I wasn't expecting F2K MyWay to actually be on match point in this series. They've definitely done something remarkable to make it this far, but Asgrath's swap over to the Paladin is looking very threatening now for the rest of the series. They just need to win one more game. They have their map selection to be able to do it. Retreating back to the pillars here. Hydra's out in the open. He ducks for cover. Asgrath a bit reluctant to chase him down there. Alec blinks right on top, so they are willing to play more aggressive this time around. Hydra pre-barriers the incoming assault, absorbing a ton of AoE damage from that Frozen Orb and Blizzard. Well timed there by Hydra, surviving that push. Now they need to figure out a way to push ABC back if ABC are going to play aggressive. Hydra's moving in, looking for a fear, lands the Psychic Scream. Well timed, good damage onto 2 targets here. Following it up with the Freezing Trap, beautiful combo. Asgrath has to use the Gliders Medallion and sacrifice, not even a minute into the game, as well as the Avenging Wrath and Holy Avenger. A ton of cooldowns for Asgrath, blown out from that push. You really couldn't ask for much better there for F2K MyWay.
That was an amazing start here for F2K MyWay. They already forced out 2 trinkets. They forced out the Sacrifice, Infernos, Dark Soul. Everything is down. They basically have free reign right now to do whatever they want here. No real threat other than the Icy Veins maybe from Alec. Let's see what they do. They're going for Asgrath right now. No, they're going to go for Warwicks. Looks like they're trying to set up a trap. Asgrath trying to juke out those kicks, but he had Avenging Wrath up for a couple of more seconds, and as the jungle, if you're trying to kill people before dampening, this is basically... Ooh, swap onto Hydra. We'll pause that for a second. Hydra might need to use his Pain Suppression here. He's actually going to just activate his Trinket for the Icy Veins of Alex. So his Trinket and Dark Soul are going to be unsynced now, unless he can maybe survive 1 Dark Soul without using anything or just line of sighting or whatever. But I was going to say, at this point, if you're the jungle, the only thing that you're scared of is counter pressure, and right now there's none on the other side. So you want to just push in, try to get Warwick's big cooldowns here. There's the knock, there's the stun into the full trap. The imp is too far away, but it does get it eventually here. Asgrath, he already just popped his wings. He has them back up, so it's gonna look good for ABC. I think F2K MyWay, they need to just dial it back and try to not waste too much mana, try to hold on to their cooldowns, because there's no kill opportunity on the map right now.
Yep, and they're going to play it very passive. Alec going back to the Frost Mage. That's going to allow him to get some snares out, maybe a little bit more cleave damage behind the pillar, and they are going to be making a swap onto Hydra once again. And look at Hydra's mana. I really like that ABC is willing to play more aggressive in the match. You get the Hammer of Justice on Hydra into a Mortal Coil. Look at the pressure they're able to put out. There's multiple pressure points in this match so far, and I think ABC, they're kind of heating up in this matchup, kind of figuring out what they want to do and not making it so easy for F2K to kind of just do their hit and run strategies with no real scary moments. I think it's just so important to just get out your damage as Mage Lock in a lot of ways. Just hit whatever target you can. If they're all playing a little bit too safe, going after Hydra I think is a great start, and we've already seen him use his Trinket, we've seen him use his Pain Suppression, and I think if ABC, they can land another Hammer of Justice into Mortal Coil and the damage is there, Hydra's really going to be scared.
Yeah, let's see if they can protect Hydra here for the next coming attack with Dark Soul Mortal Coil. Only a 10-second window to go for it. They're right on top of Hydra. They go for that Hammer of Justice at any time, but they're just waiting, and that Glider's Medallion is now 3 seconds away from being off cooldown. They use Knockback to stall the assault. These knockbacks and mind controls are definitely going to be what was the most important factor for F2K MyWay's victory if they ultimately win here. There's the Hammer of Justice, but now they have the Glider's Medallion if they need to use it. There's likely a Mortal Coil. They interrupt Walrus. He can't Mortal Coil, but Hydra was scared and used Glider's Medallion anyways, activating Vitality Conduit to try and heal for free and save mana for later on in the fight. Triple Shadow Fury, nice snipe. Blizzard hitting 3 targets as well. Scorpion Sting instantly dispelled by Asgrath. Alec blinking, pulling Casu out into the open. Tony getting feared, but still not line of sighting just yet. They're splitting their damage, Wildfire Grenades, as well as Serpent Stings on multiple targets. Tony goes for a bash. Casu lobs out the Freezing Trap. Oh, but the Imp singes it immediately with a Mortal Coil and Polymorph. There's no way Casu and Tony connect any amount of damage here. Good disruption by ABC. Now they're pushing forward, looking for the Hammer of Justice. Mortal Coil not available, but they could go for Dark Soul. Choosing to hold on to it. Icy Veins is available as well. Maybe just trying to bait a cooldown here. Hydra goes for Vitality Conduit. Definitely not the major objective they were looking for here. Maybe something like a Rapture or a Barrier. Vitality Conduit not going to be what ABC wanted to pull. Polymorph landing on the Hydra. Swap over to Tony. He activates his Survival Instincts, anticipating a Hammer of Justice. So Asgrath switches the Hammer of Justice to the Hunter instead. But they're not finding too much damage. A bit of a mistake here by Tony and Kasu. They use their interrupts at the same time. This could give an opportunity for ABC. Hydra jumps in for a Psychic Scream. Lands that onto Asgarath. Big opportunity for a counter assault here. Walrus goes for Mortal Coil, healing himself back up. Polymorph Spheres, Mortal Coils, way too much disruption. F2K MyWay unable to capitalize on Hydra's play at that moment, and both teams stabilize as dampening begins.
Yeah, we are at only 3% in dampening. Infernal's already called out. Icy Veins gets active, nicely placed barrier there by Hydra right before this attack, and it is going to help out all three members. You can see here, no one really taking too much damage because of that damage reduction, and it's going to pair it with the Vitality Conduit. They're knocking Warwicks away. They're still playing basically the pillar game at this point. Hydra getting actually sheeped, prems it, gets re-sheeped. Do they have a Hammer of Justice though? Doesn't look like Asgrath is going to be able to get one in time. Warwick's too far away here to do anything about this, and this is kind of the situation we were talking about a little bit in the pre-game. If you are on F2K MyWay, this is not the situation you want to be in. You don't want to get, overwhelmed behind the pillar. Oh, Asgrath Trinket sacrifice right there. Hydra was going to fear, so they do get a little trade back, but again, Asgrath with that Paladin, with those Ineffables, is just going to be extremely tough to deal with. He might have that sacrifice up, in 20, 30 seconds from now. Just depends if he gets those procs. And for F2K MyWay, sadly, I think at this point they need to try to commit to just playing it out, trying to stall it out a little bit more here. Just keep doing what they've been doing in the other games, because I don't think they have forced enough cooldowns to actually push somebody over at this point.
Yeah, and Alec actually changed up his build a little bit. Let's see if he can actually live here. There is a stun on Asgrath. Alec getting a little bit low temporal shield, doing okay. But Alex stacking up with Asgrath and his Water Elemental. No real threat of a big Drestigath. But now a full trap lands once again, so it does get singed. So Alex should be able to survive. But now they're going after Walrick. Multiple pressure points here for F2K MyWay. And they are doing a good job in terms of offense. I was going to say, Alec, he actually changed up his build, so no longer playing Comet Storm, but he opted to go for Freezing Ringing. So it's going to increase the radius of his Blizzard, to actually increase the damage of his Blizzard, and also make it so Frozen Orb gives you a free Blizzard. So really wanting to get that poke damage when they are behind the pillar, just increase their overall pressure in the game. But Hydra's been, look at his mana. Hydra's doing such a great job on Dalaran, maintaining his mana at 16% dampening. And when ABC gets the most pressure in this match, it's when they go after Hydra. So I kind of want to continue to see that. Just get damage out. Don't necessarily go for too much crowd control. I mean, Tony's taking a little bit of damage right now, but I really feel like for ABC, they just need to pressure Hydra and pressure his mana a lot in this matchup. As going for like these extended crowd control changes, it doesn't seem to be something that's being effective for them at any point in this entire series.
All right, coordinated assaults getting crowd controlled here. They do disrupt the fear, but they use Blessing of Protection. Hydra gets poly, he premonitions it. Mind controlling Alec, gets counterspell. Tony on the run, Casso on the run, trying to line of sight. The incoming cast of damage here as Dark Soul subsides. I actually think Diamond Ice Trap with a Paladin matchup would be better than the normal Freezing Trap. The downside of the Diamond Ice with Mistweaver is that Mistweaver can heal even while they're crowd controlled, but Paladin can't heal at all while they're crowd controlled. So even if it's a shorter duration, I think you can kill in the shorter duration against a Paladin, whereas these Freezing Traps that they're landing, just constantly getting singed off. They could also use the Diamond Ice aggressively. If there's a Dark Soul, they can just use Diamond Ice on the Warlock to stop the damage. I actually think that Diamond Ice Trap would be a better option with the Paladin matchup specifically. I don't know if we're going to see that here. They might not need it. They are ahead on mana at this point. They forced quite a lot of cooldowns. They're in a solid position. They pre-barrier the Hammer of Justice. Nobody can hit Hydra other than a Blizzard and a Frozen Orb. No way he dies to that. Tony tries to reset, gets stunned up. Hydra instantly dispels. Casso maintaining Serpent Sting. I'd love to see them attack Asgarath here as he's pushed up. They do. They stun him up, looking to get that Divine Shield. I don't think they're going to find it through the Divine Protection, though, and they're pulling back to the pillar once again. Hydra still maintaining mana, just using Shadow Mend not very frequently to try and save mana. Triple Shadow Fury, Blizzard, Rain of Fire. That poke damage is going to start to add up now that we're getting close to that 30% dampening mark.
Yeah, and we're going to see Kasu kind of playing like an OG Hunter here, playing it from range for the most part. Right now, Tony in a Mortal Coil gets dispelled. He swaps over to Bear form. He's going to have his Frenzied Regen to top himself up. And now he's going to recover behind the pillar. Infernals gets called in. Asgrath's moving in for the Hammer of Justice. They get it onto Hydra. Immediately trinkets this time around because it is Dark Soul as well as Icy Veins. Big offensive overlap there from ABC. Let's see what they can get done here on the side of MyWay. No defensive cooldowns whatsoever used. They just traded Hydra's Trinket and Rapture. Actually, not even Rapture, just Hydra's Trinket for the basically entire offensive cooldown arsenal of ABC. Asgrath now, though, is sitting down for a drink, most likely, and they need to try to get something down about that. They do stop the drink. Hydra does get polyed, and this is a really nice poly that Alec did. So Hydra wanted to line of sight this poly, but you can tell by the Nova from the pet that Alec probably pet Nova him right before he could get out of line, and then he just probably didn't prem it because he was focusing on just line of sighting it. So nice little play there by Alex, just the min-max mage moves. But now a setup happening onto Warwick. Let's see it. Do they have the trap? They actually do force out the Divine Shield as well as the Trinket. They force out the Trinket and the Ultimate Sacrifice. They still have the Divine Shield. Warwick's no Trinket though, so that next setup should be the Unending Resolve or the Divine Shield if they can pounce within the next 45 seconds or so here, man.
Yeah, I mean, this is just such an important series in general, though. I mean, ABC and F2K MyWay definitely off to a slow start in this round robin, and winning this series would be massive for either one of these teams. Losing also very detrimental. So this series could come down to their qualification or not, just with how these teams are lining up right now. And we'll have to see how it plays out. I mean, right now, F2K MyWay, they're on the small map. They're up 2-1. But I would say ABC, with their composition with the Paladin, should have the edge in this matchup. Let's see. Asgrath once again. It looks like Singe will be a little bit lucky there for Warwick, who will Singe the trap. And I have to agree with you, Zico. I feel like when we see Tony and Casu push in and get damage rolling, Asgrath needs to just pre-freedom himself. I don't know if he's doing it. I haven't seen it, I don't think, once since he's been on Paladin, but I think it would be extremely good. You take away that 50-50 chance, and all of a sudden it becomes an absolute nightmare for Casu and Tony. And at the very least, they have to wait out that freedom duration, which allows Alec and Warwick to actually get out a lot more pressure in the match. Once again, there's going to be no pre-freedom, but Alec eats the trap. So great job there by Alec. Warwick still taking quite a bit of damage with the Blessing of Protection, more than enough to keep Warwick alive. Now for F2K MyWay, they need to retreat. I really want to see a big swap on Hydra. They do it. He immediately trinkets, and burning through mana once again, caught into the snares. Great job by Alec, by Warwick, by Asgrath, really punishing that push.
I almost wonder if they should have gone for Dark Soul there. They had multiple targets out in the open for a really long time. Basically didn't want to Dark Soul into possibly Survival Instincts. They already got the Glider's Medallion. They do have that poke damage with Blizzard to rely on now to hold their pressure for another push. I can't help but feel that ABC could play a little bit more aggressively, though, in this given matchup. With Hammer of Justice, Blessing of Protection, just getting on top of Hydra, pop Dark Soul with Bop. I mean, you can't be kicked or stopped, and just run him over like a freight train when he's got no Gladiator's Medallion. I feel like they're playing very cautiously when they don't need to. They've got Dark Soul, they got Icy Veins right now, they've got no Trinket Priest. Like, just push on top of Hydra. They get Pain Suppression with this, and that is going to thwart the assault for now. They're trying to combo with the Shadow Fury, but Mortal Coil not going to be used on this assault. But they got what they wanted, the Pain Suppression. Now there's no Gladiator's Medallion and no Pain Suppression for the next Hammer of Justice into a full Mortal Coil. You can cleave down the whole team with Blizzard and Frozen Orb as well. It seems like when this next push is up, they should commit to this push with a sacrifice at least, or a Blessing of Protection if it's available from that Ineffable Truth. Right now, Tony's trying to push out, but that's pretty risky here. They go for Freeze the Trap. Imp singes it. Asgrath pre-freedom that attempt, guaranteeing Singe dispelled the trap. So nice play by Asgrath. Tony and Kazuo look a bit hesitant, but now charging forward over onto Walrix, trying to protect Hydra for 30 seconds. They basically have to bait them to go on Tony in this position so they don't stun Hydra, but they're desperate. They have to run away from the Frozen Orb. Infernal proc there with the Vision of Perfection. That's going to AoE them down even harder behind the box. Tony repositions away from it. They mind control Alec. They're trying to pull him into a bad position, but not able to. They jump back in on top of Alec and Walrix. The map is working out here. They've got Asgrath completely out of mana. They just need to avoid the Dark Soul for another 7 seconds. Walrix gets bopped, but they're not in a position to do anything with it. They dispel the bop off immediately. This is dire straits right now for ABC. They're charging forward to try and close it up, but they get intercepted They have to break out with the Singe. Hydra's into the stun. He pre-barriers the stun. Walrix is getting blasted. Double Drestigat drop. Walrix down to 20%. Mortal Coil's away with the sacrifice. They're trying to gun down Hydra, but now he has that Gladiator's Medallion. They swap over to Tony out in midfield here. Blasting him with a couple Chaos Bolts. He's stampeding Roars, trying to sprint back to the pillar in line of sight, but he's caught in a ray of frost, slowing his defensive positioning. Walrix is repositioned on top of them. Basically no mana for either side, but there is quite a lot of defense available for ABC, unlike that of F2K MyWay. ABC, as long as they can get back to full health, are in a good position to just overwhelm. Askrat charges in, Hammer of Justice. Hydra breaks out. He knows that he needs to keep his team at a healthy margin this deep into dampening. He can't be greedy with any cooldowns. It's time to go. Can they overwhelm ABC? Askrat Divine Shields, it may not be enough. Walrix uses Unending Resolve. He gets knocked back and stunned on his Unending Resolve. They could switch over to Alec while he's way out of position. Beautiful knockback. Walrix can't get back into the fight to try and counter-aggress, and they got basically every cooldown that they needed to find a win here onto Walrix. If they can get back onto Walrix without Askrat stabilizing, he has no mana to stabilize. Goes for Divine Favor, not too big and dampening. Alec has to Ice Block. F2K MyWay are looking good here on match point. Likely that they'll be able to overwhelm, but Sacrifice comes up. They swap over to Alec. He's on Hypothermia. A double Shadow Fury to try to counter-aggress. Casu can't afford to throw this deep into dampening. Aspects of the Turtle at 50% health. They need to find a way to get in on top of ABC and close out the game, but Hydra is a bit reluctant. He's playing at max range, and his teammates are getting baited into a bad position. Hydra tries to reposition. He gets clotheslined by a Polymorph. This has got a cross kill potentially written all over it. They drop the Drestigas onto Asgarath. Casu retreats away with the disengage. Tony's trying to charge in here, but Avenging Wrath is up, and Asgarath managed to get some mana back, likely the Obsidian Claw and a pet or something there, but that little tiny bit of mana that he regened has been critical to their survival at this point. They land a Psychic Scream, but Casu is way too low on health. He's just avoiding the fight. Tony soaks the hit. He gets stunned up. He has to trinket out immediately. Hydra's in a full fear, and now things are starting to spiral out of control for F2K MyWay. Triple Infernal. This should not be recoverable for F2K. If Walrix finds any damage here, it's going to be it. Frozen Orb ticking away. Casu jumps into his death, and Walrix stabilizes. Tony falls second. Maybe Walrix goes down. Tony's on 1%. No way. Walrix is just holding on by a thread. Chaos Bolt closes it out. We're going to a game 5. It's impossible, Hydra. Yeah. Game 5 here.
They're so sad. I really feel like F2K MyWay, they played that so well. They got it so deep and everything. I don't even know how they managed to recover in that situation, but the Icy Veins came up for Alec in the nick of time. They were able to play it calm, cool, collected. Everyone was sub 20% health, but they managed to recover at about 66% dampening. And with that Icy Veins, with the Infernal, we're able to seal the deal and basically force F2K MyWay to play a little bit defensive. But that game, I mean, it really couldn't have been closer.
You have ABC managing to tie it up here 2-2. Now we're going to game 5 in this series. Not really how I expected us to get here, though. F2K MyWay now to lock in their map choice here pretty quickly here as these teams start their draft process. We can see in the end here how they managed to get F2K MyWay down. Anything about that game you want to mention, Zigo, in terms of setups or anything you want to say before we move on to game 5 here for either of these teams?
Well, I think that deep into dampening, if you can't hit the lock, you shouldn't. You should hit the mage. But if you can hit the mage and the lock, you should hit the lock. They were hitting the mage at the end there, and I think that is actually a reason to why they did lose that game. On the side, well, I mean, it's a hard matchup, but I think they could have won it on the side of F2K MyWay if they just focused the lock there at the end. And I don't know. I feel like Asgarath on the pally, just like, dude, if your teammates are low and the enemy team is leaving the pillar, just freedom yourself. Like, I feel like if he does that, there's not even a window of opportunity for for the other team to do anything.
So now we go into game 5 here, like I already said, F2K MyWay. It's going to be their map choice going into this next game, which is going to put them in a position, in a map, of course, that's going to be advantageous to them. What do we have left here in terms of map spend? What do we want to see maybe either of these teams do for game number 5?
Well, I think we're going to go to a small map again. I think Alec was looking a little bit more comfortable on the Frost Mage in this matchup, so I did like he went for the Instant Blizzard. Seemed like it kind of worked out for him, had that poke damage when they did hide. I really like the fact that they were going after Hydra, and I think if we do go to a small map, that's exactly what we're going to have to see. And I would anticipate something like Black Rook Hold for the jungle cleave, but I think the fact that it is kind of like a singular pillar on Black Rook Hold, if Hydra's playing that position, he can be punished. And I want to see Alec build up full icicles with his Frozen Orb, then push in. They're actually going for Ruins of Lordaeron, and I think Ruins of Lordaeron is actually a little risky. I don't actually like Ruins of Lordaeron at all for the jungle cleave. I think Hydra's not going to have really great positioning.
Why not just Black Rook
I did
Hold?
not expect this. I did not expect this map pick.
Black Rook Hold, they can mind control people in the room, knock people in the room. They can always line of sight. Why would they go here? I mean, Hydra's just gonna die. What? This is the throw.
You think? What could
This
he
is
be
the
thinking
first
here? Do we want
time
to take a guess?
ever in the history of AWC where we get to Game 5 on Ruins of Lordaeron and Super Tease is disappointed. Like, I think it's actually achievement unlocked here by F2K.
It's not a fitting final resting place. It's a bad choice of a final resting place. Would that be accurate?
I guess they wanted to choose where they were going to be buried.
So you think F2K MyWay loses Game 5?
Yeah.
Well, I just don't think this is the ideal map. Like, they can win, but it just doesn't play into this. Like, every time we've seen F2K MyWay do a great job in basically all of these games, they've had a pillar that Hydra's been able to rotate through. And same with Casu and Tony, they've had a pillar that they can kind of maneuver around. Ruins of Lordaeron, those same type of pillars don't exist. I mean, sure, there's the center tomb, and there is places where you can LOS, but it's not as effective. So we'll see. I also think if ABC want to, they can just kind of sit back and play in the room. And I think if Asgrath just uses freedom on himself, F2K MyWay is going to have a really difficult time pushing in and getting anything done without severely exposing their positioning.
All right, well, we'll find out shortly here. It's game number 5, ABC versus F2K MyWay.
All right, Ruins of Lordaeron. It would be a fitting final resting place as it is a cemetery. Let's see if F2K MyWay have decided to bury themselves here with this map selection. I'd love to see Diamond Ice Trap from Casu. I actually think that it is better with the Paladin matchup because the Paladin does 0 healing while crowd controlled, and it would guarantee them at least half of a Freezing Trap's duration of time to kill a target, which I think is more than enough time to kill a Warlock or a Mage in this matchup. So let's see, is he playing the Diamond Ice? Stun. Oh no, Asgrath trinkets and avoids the trap. They mind control the sacrifice. They pull, I love these polymorphs by Alec. Polymorph with the mind control, so Walrus heals to full. They swap over to Hydra. The downside of Ruins of Lordaeron is that Hydra will be an exposed target with so much open field. They're trying to gun him down. They get the Master's Call to freedom him out of the Frozen Orb. He's back in a good position at the side of the Tombstone. Alec and Walrus tag teaming here, pushing forward on top of Casu. Big exhilaration heal. I like that they just use their cooldowns rather than taxing Hydra's mana to stabilize, so that they realize that Hydra needs to have full mana. It's much better trade just use exhilaration there, which normally you would want to save for a situation to survive, but it is better mana efficiency wise to just trade it right now. Walrus on the left, Alec down in the center, dropping Blizzard on the Tombstone, and that Blizzard almost swallows the entire thing. So we'll have to wait and see if this map ultimately ends up working out. We haven't seen if it's a Diamond Ice Trap just yet because Casso has not landed one, so I am curious to see if he is. Asgrath's charging in, Hammer of Justice. Alec, Frozen Orb down. Walrus, Cataclysm the whole team. Immolates up, hitting multiple targets. Hydra looks at least stable, though, as he repositions out of the Frozen Orb, and they're just going to be running laps around that center Tombstone. Walrus is going to move right on top of it to try and clothesline them, but he will be exposed to mind control and a lot of damage. There's the trap. Is it Diamond Ice? Nope, playing normal trap. Where's the Singe? They get the Entangling Roots on top of it. No Singe? Why are they not going for the Dispel here? Is he not playing the Imp? Either way, a full Freezing Trap lands there. That could have been risky. Walrus down at half. Hydra not able to get a fear, unfortunately. Alec gets bursted down. Hydra looks like he may want to push out. No, back onto the Tombstone. We see Casu a line of sighting on the side here. Tony trying to stay on the Warlock. Asgrath charges in. Hydra pre-barriers the Hammer of Justice. Nice read. His whole team's going to get a lot of defense. They try and counter-engage onto the Warlock and stun Alec. I love that they're saving these stuns for when Hydra is in a stun so that they can't do any damage. But Ineffable Truth here, getting another Hammer of Justice onto Tony. He gets blasted. Ducks around the corner of the Tombstone. Alec blinks in aggressively, but Hydra sees him coming. Premonitions the Polymorph. Casu playing at max range, trying not to stack up, utilizing the cart to the side so that Blizzard and Rain of Fire doesn't hit all 3 team members here. So I love the positioning, at least from F2K MyWay so far, but you can tell that the map is a lot more taxing. Hydra's mana, it's in a decent spot, but not nearly as healthy as it has been in other matches.
Yeah, but they have also forced out, well, they haven't actually forced out much, just 1 ice block, but they've had pretty good pressure so far. They just forced out the Hand of Sacrifice again. Asgarath is moving in. Hammer of Justice has been popped. Warwick gets silenced there, but he does get dispelled right away. Hydra is going to take a decent chunk of damage here, but he does get the Vitality Conduit before the Mortal Coil, which should be able to stabilize decently in that situation, but once again, it just, I gotta agree with you guys. I feel like the map is not really doing F2K a lot of favors right now. Let's see what they can get done here as they prepare for the next push. I think Tony probably gonna go for it now, and he does get the stun here. Let's see, do they get the trap? They get the root. The trap is going to be eaten by Alec, and Warwick almost still dies there. Alec, if he didn't eat that trap, I do think that would have been a Divine Shield or a Trinket or something. Warwick's almost just straight up dead there. Big damage from F2K MyWay.
I'm telling you, I've said it a few times in this matchup, but being on your Water Elemental and being on your Imp is actually really important. If Drestigath is available, you need to be splitting that damage. It's one of the only ways you can get bursted down early in the game. And if you are diligent about just soaking that damage by stacking on your pet, or splitting that damage by stacking on your pet, it's actually really important, and it's something we do see teams like Cloud9 implement over and over and over. We do see a trap now, or actually a stun onto Asgrath. Warwick's potentially taking a little bit of damage, but with a few Chaos Bolts blasting F2K MyWay back to the pillar. Hydra doing a great job managing his mana once again. Not add dampening just yet, but basically there, 10 seconds away, we're going to start seeing dampening ramp up. And that's where these things start getting a little bit spicy for both of these teams. Bash now onto Asgrath. Walrus getting rotted down. Is he going to go down? Blessing of Protection does land. Can Hydra dispel it? Maybe F2K MyWay is going to be able to continue the push. I don't think so just yet. Alec throwing in some damage. The Blizzard, the Frozen Orb. And it looks like F2K MyWay, they are completely stable. And in the last couple of exchanges, I'd say F2K MyWay has come out way ahead.
Let's see if they can keep it up here. They're doing solid into dampening. Still looking good in the matchup. Dark Soul's available, Icy Vein as well. So Alec and Walrus are a big threat right now, and Tony is just boldly going where no kitty has gone before, out in midfield against Mage Warlock. Infernal called in into double Shadow Fury. Beautiful combo. Huge pressure potentially. Frozen Orb is now down, pinning them. Casu disengages out, but Tony is still leading the charge. They silence Alec. Asgrath dispels it. They decide to retreat. The damage was done on that assault. Hydra's locked down in a stun. No reason to continue pushing forward. Still the threat of Dark Soul. Divine Favor, big heal from Asgrath. He goes back to full health. Walrick's resummoning the Imp in a better position and at max health. Hydra gets counterspelled, looking for cheeky mind controls, pulling Alec into a really weird position off to the side, just trying to drag him completely out of the fight. Trap him over there, Tar Trap. Hydra line of sighting the Polymorph from the tomb with the Feather. Full freezing trap. Where's the Singe magic? Oh, it gets the Entangling Root! Asgrath has to use the Gladiator's Medallion. And this is where I was saying, that wasn't even the full duration of the trap, and they force Asgrath to trinket. I would have liked to have seen a Diamond Ice swap here, but Hydra's now locked down in a stun. All 3 members of ABC can freely attack Hydra. He trades Pain Suppression to reduce the hit, and is now able to line of sight. This last game is all about Hydra's ability to readjust to being the target. Huge damage in on Walrick's massive double dress drop. Asgrath has the Divine Shield. F2K MyWay are doing everything they need to aggressively to win this game, trying to deny F2K, or trying to deny ABC the reverse sweep.
But look at Asgrath's cooldown. Ineffable just procced, so he is chilling. That bubble is going to go back to about 3 minutes, but one more proc and it's going to be off CD. So Asgrath looking pretty good in terms of cooldowns. He just uses Sacrifice. He's going to get that back in a minute. He literally, his wings just came back, so he's going to have some answers. The one thing that he won't have is a breaker. So if he does get, trapped with a root, the only thing that can take him out is the Imp right now. He doesn't have any of his own personal cooldowns to break out of that. However, Warwick would still be unlikely to die if they were to land that trap within the next 40 seconds because he has Unending Resolve. But they could still force out that, which would be a win in of itself. Let's see what F2K MyWay decides to do right now. They're just mind controlling Alec, just trying to stall it out a little bit. Hydra actually gets feared, but they break it at the same time. Tony now getting up there, applying his bleeds, using that little tombstone on the side to just line of sight Warwick. Warwick setting up a defensive gateway, and here we go. Full trap. Alex is on top of it. Do they get the singe? They do get the singe, and that was the only kill window. And there it is. Ineffable just procced as well for Asgraf, so he's going to have his trinket coming back up in 10 seconds. He has his sacrifice ready, and he's going to have his bubble. So in terms of cooldowns, AVC are just straight chilling, but F2K MyWay's mana and defensives as well is not in a bad place. So far, could be anybody's game here, Rookie.
Oh, it definitely could be. I mean, these guys have been battling it out for almost 2 hours in this series. Definitely gets a little bit mentally exhausting for these players, and we'll see if anyone does slip up and make any mistakes. This is the final game and where it counts the most. And like I said earlier, this is a very important series for both of these teams, both of them with sort of a negative win-loss, and winning this would definitely put them in a better spot to make it into that top 4. Big explosive damage onto Walrix. Is he going to go down? Sacrifice coming in clutch once again for Asgraf. And these Paladin cooldowns rotating up so quickly, definitely paying dividends here for ABC. Switching to the Paladin over the Mistweaver Monk has been a blessing for them. Hammer of Justice now onto Hydra. A little bit of damage, but unfortunately not able to find too much. Rapture trades out, and F2K MyWay stabilize.
Asgraf definitely has the power of N'Zoth with him in this series for the Paladin. These Ineffable Truce granting him tons of major defensive cooldowns on that Paladin, but the double stun lock combo comes in. Freezing Trap is landed. Where's the Singe? They get the Singe. Now Hydra's in a Polymorph. They're trying to turn it around. Dark Soul's available. They're not finding any damage though. Hydra into the full fear. Walrus lobbing out a couple Chaos Bolts. They retreat away from the Blessing of Protection, but Hydra got left behind a bit here, caught in the Hammer of Justice. Has to use Pain Suppression. Still massive damage incoming. Hammer into Hammer. Another Ineffable Truth proc. Getting a huge stun combo for Asgraf. He is having the most fun ever with that corruption in this series at the moment. If this keeps up, it's going to be difficult for F2K MyWay to pull this off.
Yeah, but they don't have too much time here on the side of ABC. The mana is not looking good for Asgraf. He needs to maybe go for a drink here, potentially. He actually does use the freedom. Look at that. Asgraf, his teammates are low. The enemy team is pushing in. Freedom. You can't be trapped. Now they have to go for the trap. Let's see. Will they get it? Alec, he with the blink. Nice Infernal stun. And there it is. That's going to buy Asgraf the time he needs to get that freedom out. And honestly, ABC are just playing better and better here. You can tell Asgraf, he was still playing the Mistweaver there, you know, a little bit in that Tolvir game, but right now he is looking great on his Paladin, and they're setting up another push here onto Hydra. Hydra deflecting it beautifully with the Pain Suppression and the barrier. We are at that point in the game where you might need to stagger some of those weaker cooldowns together, and Hydra does it fantastically right there. He's going to have a good mana lead still, and they do have a cooldown advantage as well a little bit if they could get something going. Honestly, I want to see them stun trap Asgraf right now. Can they get it? They do force out the Divine Shield and the Hand of Sacrifice, and now if Asgraf trinkets the next trap, there's a very real possibility that they can just kill him 100-0. So that could be something to look in for. Warwick's as well. He's going to have his Unending Resolve. So if they force out Asgraf's Trinket and not Warwick's Unending Resolve, I would actually want them to set up after that to force out or to try to go for Asgraf. But let's see if that's what they decide to do here. Asgraf is inside the room. No sacrifice. He tries to get a preemptive Blessing of Protection. They're trying to move in into a defensive spot here. And we're at that point where the jungle is out damaging the Mage Lock with range damage. And we're going to see exactly Hydra. It maybe gets sheeped here. No Prem here from Hydra. Full Hammer of Justice onto Tony, but a nice preemptive wall there by Tony. Look at his HP. Doesn't move at all, just from that Survival Instinct. One of those super strong cooldowns. And it's going to be enough here for Tony, but now he's not going to have any of those moving forward in the match. And Hydra still in crowd control, does get the Vitality Conduit, so he should be okay for now. Nice kick there on the Shadow Fury. Still a lot of damage coming out though, and you can tell Hydra is really struggling here at 43% dampening. They get the trap, they kick the Imp Summon, and here we go. F2K are looking to push out. They're looking to get some damage done. Asgraf does use his Trinket. No Divine Shield for 30 seconds, no Blessing of Protection. Here, they could maybe even swap to Asgraf and just try to take him down, but they're going to be playing it safe. They have the mana lead. I can't really blame them too much here, man.
Oh, definitely not. Pulling back just a little bit. They don't want things to spiral out of control like we did see in the last game. I mean, they're in such a dominating position, but overstaying their welcome. You can't really blame them. The problem is, ABC, they have so many defensive cooldowns that they can rotate through, and it's really hard to tell the timing of when the Paladin is going to have his trinket, his bubble, his blessing of protection. His sacrifice as ineffable truth is just so strong. So the timing for F2K MyWay, it has to be perfect, but it's really difficult to set up. Bash now over onto Asgarath. They're getting in a lot of damage. Alex actually finds a full polymorph, and there's a big hit here onto F2K. They need to be careful. Full fear now into Hydra. He's not trinketing out. Finally, doesn't want to fall too far behind. And ABC, now they're in such a good spot. Hydra has no trinket. There's no survival instincts for Tony. And ABC still has so many cooldowns. Like I said, the Divine Shield, but I mean, here's the thing. It's just a matter of time before Asgard gets all his cooldowns back if he can get the inevitable truth proc. So F2K MyWay, I feel like it's almost do or die. They need to make a push.
I kind of feel like Alec and Walrus made a mistake using Dark Soul and Icy Veins together. Now they don't have it, and they're deep in dampening. There's no real threat. I feel like if I'm F2K, I just attack right now and unrelentingly push over Walrix. Divine Shield already out of the way during this push. If they can get a crowd control on this Avenging Rat, they get Sacrifice out of the way. Just put your foot down on the gas pedal all the way. If you don't kill before this next Dark Soul, I don't know if you'll be able to as F2K MyWay. Avenging Rat still up for Asgarath. They need to wait for that to subside before finding a kill. Hydra pre-raptures, but he's caught in the Hammer of Justice. Is there anything to protect him? Walrix gets stunned up, but it's not enough. Alec is more than enough to finish Hydra off in game number 5, and ABC close it out.
And unfortunate way to end that for F2K MyWay. Well done by ABC, turning that around in a reverse sweep, winning that series 3-2. What was the major difference there on the side of ABC between game 1 and that last game that we saw, Ben?
What they played Paladin, like that's the difference. Like they